Christmas will be something unreal. Darling, you saved my heart, just as I thought I was falling apart. I'll be on your side forevermore. Under the mistletoe, I'll be just fine when you knock on my door. Kiss me, darling, don't be shy. It's you that I adore. I will try hard just to keep you, so keep on smiling. That is what I'll do when Hollywood is firing. We've conquered problems over fears. This Christmas will be something unreal. Darling, you saved my heart, just as I thought I was falling apart. I'll be on your side forevermore. Under the mistletoe, I'll be just fine when you knock on my door. Kiss me, darling, don't be shy. It's you that I adore. Sleigh bells are ringing, I've heard them before, sending a message that Christmas is at the door. I've been waiting by the phone, and there is nothing we can do. This Christmas will be something unreal.
Rudolph, my dear, the forecast ain't clear. So will you please light my way and lead this old man's sleigh? I said, Rudolph, my friend, once more will you lend your red nose, or heaven knows how this sleigh ride will end. Rudolph, my man, you're the only one who can save the day. Say yea or nay. Now will you pull my sleigh? Rudolph. Rudolph, my boy, now don't you act so coy. Let us go and fill all the little children's hearts with joy. Rudolph, my dear, you know the forecast ain't clear. So will you please light the way and lead old Santa sleigh? Yeah, lead old Santa sleigh. Come on and lead old Santa One more time. Yeah.
Hello, hi. Hello, my good people. Look at this green screen. You can't even see it because it's gone because we figured it out. Eric and I together put our heads together and we figured it out. And you know what? Because the last stream didn't have the green screen, I realized how grateful I am for it. It's awesome. It's awesome to not have that like box around me. You know what I'm saying? I'm so glad to see you. Happy Friday. I was running around and I was, getting stuff ready. The minutes before the show are like, every time. Even if I'm ready, even if I'm not, it's always the same because I get excited. And I'm so glad you're here. And I was coming by and I was like, okay, setting things up. It still looks like my head's cut off, but it isn't. Oh, that's great. So I glanced. Somebody said, did anybody else have a rough Friday? Your Friday's been... Okay, Sleepy Mac had a great Friday. Myra is working with long COVID patients. Stressful and sad and draining. And still people refuse to do their part to mask to vaccinate. Myra, I'm glad you mentioned it because... And I let the people know through the Discord. I didn't realize how late it had gotten in the day, but I did let them know before I made the announcement. Mom and I aren't going to Boston. Of course not, We talked on the phone. I mean, I was like, it's non-essential. I mean, it's a fun trip to go see a quilt show that requires a plane ride. To come to the United States, you have to have a negative COVID test, okay? So we took an international flight, and people, so on paper, it's like, you came from London and you're not going to go to Boston? Yeah, because you can't even get on the plane without showing your test result, right? That's negative, and your vaccination card, right? On the NHS in England, you have a passport. That's how they do it there. It's pretty cool, actually. And so you have to show these things to be like, I'm good to travel. If we didn't have that, we would be having a different conversation, right? And so you don't need to show anything to get on a plane to Boston from Chicago. And we just can't go. And it's like as soon as things started to come in, the news started to come in, and Eric and I were understanding like the level of, the issue, the situation at hand, I just knew. I was like, well, we can't go. Of course we can't go. This is a recreational thing that was going to be amazing. I could use some time with my mom, frankly. It's been a while since we really hung out, and it's this thing, and I've invited all of you, But the truth is that we're in a pandemic. We're in a pandemic, and it sucks. Sometimes I'm like, this is what I say. I won't say the bad word. I'll beat myself. But sometimes I just turn to Eric and I'm like, fucking pandemic. Are you serious? Really? We drew that card? It's been 100 years. And we drew the pandemic card? Pandemic. It's just like, well, how about that, It sucks. I'm so tired of it. Everybody is so tired of it. Myra, being a healthcare worker, I mean, sometimes I forget. And yeah, we're talking about the virus. Like, that's what we're doing to open the show. That's what we're doing. It can't all be rainbows and sunshine. The show is going to be amazing tonight. I have so much amazing stuff for you. You just prepare, But like, this is what we do to start. And that's what's up, right, today with everything that's going on with this new variant, because it's a bug and it changes and it wants to live. And so it figures out a way to live. Human beings do the same thing. Am I equating human beings to a virus? Yes! But let's move on. So, I just, you can, like, sometimes when I'm like wearing a mask and stuff, and it's like, well, the mask doesn't really protect you from getting the virus. People say that. And it's like, well, I think of two things, because you can feel like that. And you're like, hey, does this even work? Does it matter? I'm hot, I'm sweaty. It's winter in Chicago, so I get like condensation, and then I break out, it's awful, whatever. Everybody hates it. Who likes it? No one. But there's two reasons why, right? If I'm if I'm infected, it helps prevent other people from getting what I got. And viral load, man. If somebody with COVID-19 sneezes in my face and I have a mask on, there's a viral load that I would, I get less of it. There's just less of the viral load that gets me. So maybe if I get sick, it's not going to be quite as bad. So it's this barrier, right? And then the other part is, if I got COVID, especially Omicron, which is not like, it seems to be for most people sort of milder, but it's more contagious, right? So the hospitals aren't going to be like, oh, this isn't so bad, because there's more people getting it. So there's more people who it will affect really badly. So and so that's what I think about. It's like the nurses. It would be nice for me, would it not, to try to not get the virus so that I can like do my part to stay out of the hospital, just stay out of the hospital, not infect other people who might go into the hospital, for the nurses, for the doctors. Don't do it for me. I'll be all right, probably. Do it for them. And so, if we like gallivant off to Boston, where numbers are terrible and the whole, and New York is bad, and it's just the worst. I cried, obviously I cried, but now is not the time. And I cried, and then I was dragging my feet to call my mom. I mean, it's my mom. Like, I don't like really dread phone calls with my mom. I mean, no more than, I mean, whatever. It's like, I don't hide from phone calls to my mom usually. But I was like, I don't want to call her. I don't want to, because it's terrible news. But I called her, and I ate a little ice cream while I was talking to her after I sort of stopped blubbing. And she was super bummed out, and it was totally terrible, but, whatever. I forget what I was going to say about that. But anyway, so that's what's up. Hey, Akhil's here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is great. Lauren, the agree, and the various inconveniences as subsequent. I love that word that Lauren has put in a word in the chat, respectfully, redacted in certain places, right? I love that word. That is my favorite word, if you're talking about somebody, they're agree or whatever, it's great. It's like the best, So anyway, and Ivana, okay, putting my health first, putting each of our health first and the health of others before a quilt show. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So I was like dragging my feet to talk to mom, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to tell the nerds, this just sucks. It's such bad news. I don't want to start the show with that, But then, like, over the course of the day, I was like, no, it's totally fine. Like, I don't really have emotions about it. It's just a fact. What you're saying, Ivana, put other people before a quilt show. That's actually not that hard. It's like, oh, well, I shouldn't feel bad about that because that's obviously the right thing to do. So it's not like, ugh. It's kind of no contest. It sucks. It's the worst. It is terrible. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm like mad and sad. But yes, exactly. It's not necessary, capital N necessary. Ivana says you can have quality time with mom at home. It's true. She's coming to Chicago for Christmas, which is a whole other thing. It's like, well, where do you draw? We're working on it, like, what do we do? We're going to go ice skating. Mom and I really love to ice skate. It's kind of a thing, that we do. And she was like, I thought I was getting too old to ice skate, but I would love to ice skate with you. And look, I'll be perfectly honest. My mom and I went through a really, really hard time, and a couple years ago, really bad, we never had a bad time, and we did. And so painful and terrible, that's all I'll say about it. But I mean, when I said we could use time together, I really meant it, So it's like not just like, oh, we can't go to the show. It's like, well, that would have been great on lots of levels, But mom and I haven't ice skated together in years, and so we can do that. It's outside, and it's like our thing. There's always alternatives. You got to get creative. Marlene, hello in YouTube land. I think I combined the chat successfully. It's read only, but you're all together. And Debbie, I am so glad. Listen, you know what? Debbie brings up a good point. I don't want to share confidential information. And it's not like I have some inside scoop. I don't know anything. And no one, I think, knows anything about QuiltCon. But a friend of mine is, involved in QuiltCon. She's what am I doing? She helps make sort of decisions about such things, right? If the time would come, and all I can say is that everybody's wondering that, everybody's like the people who have tickets and things like that, and my friend wouldn't tell me anything anyway if she knew anything. But we're QuiltCon, I'm planning on going. The way these spikes with this variant are going, it goes real bad, and then it, seems to go away. I don't know. We don't know. And so I am just one day at a time. The trip to Boston was Tuesday. That's like 3 days away. The answer's no for us. QuiltCon is 2 months away, almost to the day. 2 months from yesterday is when I will fly to Phoenix. A lot can happen in 2 months, Eric and I, we went to Budapest to meet Mom and Rebecca, and if you were around last month or a month and a half ago, we did that because we weighed the risk, we looked at it, and we did it. So all systems go for now. People will judge what they need to do for themselves, and that's the best we can ask for. So I'm going to say hi to everybody. Theodore, happy Friday night. That soundtrack. Lauren, I'm so glad you're here. It's so good to see you. Teacher Stitch. Yeah, you were the one who said, anybody else have a rough Friday? Same. Bip is here. TGIF. I have so much good stuff for you tonight. I mean, I was scanning things at the scanner for a while because the stuff I've got for you tonight, you can't find it on the internet. No, it comes through the mail. And then you scan it in your closet, in the closet behind there. Myra, yes, indeed. Myra, our healthcare worker, thank you for what you do. It's almost like thank you for your service, at this point. It's interesting. I have a detail of Civil War era patchwork you might see behind me. 20th anniversary, the volunteer infantry, Indiana reunion, Monticello, Indiana, September 28th, 29th, 30th, 1881. This is a quilt we're going to talk more about. The quilt behind me is a reunion quilt for the volunteer infantry in 1881, 20 years after the Civil War. It's crazy. Quilts are so amazing. Carmen Hoffman from Colorado, it's so good to see you. Thank you for coming. Sibby Mac, I've had a great Friday. Good. Bring the energy. Bip's wondering what people are working on tonight. I love it. Hand and foot. Oh, where have you been all my life? I'm so glad you're here. This is great. Rusty Cat is back. So good. House is a bit of a tip. Same. String signature quilt. We're going to look at string quilts are going to come up tonight. I'm just saying they're going to come up tonight. Yep, Dee Marie is like, one of the reasons I chose to be vaccinated was to help a healthcare worker. It's like, don't do it for you. Do it for somebody else, right? New quilting space. Oh my, Sherry. I feel like I want to say RPM Sherry, like going real fast. Sherry has a new quilting space trying to unpack and organize. Oh, that is a big deal. It's a big deal because you have to make these choices, Like, what are you going to do? Like, you could set up your machine this way, but then, But just, I would say, not that you asked me for my advice. This is an advice show. It's an unsolicited advice show. Just know that nothing's final. Try it out, audition it. Put your fabric over there. Put your cutting table here, but be like, I don't know. That's like this show. This show's only 4 months old. And I have to keep reminding myself and you guys that the format is still figuring out what it is. Like just recently, I decided to start saying hello to people while I'm doing the chit chat instead of chit chatting, and then welcoming people because it was taking too long. We gotta cut to the chase. Elmore Leonard is a famous author, novelist. He's dead, and he was alive for a long time, and he wrote a lot of books. And he said, when someone asked him advice for writing a really great novel, he said, cut out the boring parts. It's pretty good advice. It's like nobody wants to read boring stuff, so just basically cut to the chase. Like just write exciting scenes. And then people will like your novel. So I'm trying to cut out the boring parts, So Demented, you're going to work on postage stamp quilted stockings for the newest grandbabies. Those are really lucky grandbabies. If you've got a quilter in your family, you're lucky. Yep. Oh, third graders. Oh, you just finished the last student day before winter break for your bouncy group of third graders. Third graders are like, they're just bouncy. Like, how would you describe a third grader? Bouncy. Very good. Yep, where I'm at. M. Hicks is here. I'm so glad you're here. And Sue is here. Hello, Sue. Hope you got my message. So Demented is traveling in Arkansas. Not a mask in sight. Everyone's staring at him with his, yeah. You know, it's weird. Chicago is really vigilant. Everywhere I go, there's masks. But in London, it was getting, there wasn't many. It was weird. I thought it would be opposite somehow. I don't know. Faith Quilts, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I had a lot of emotions about it, but now it's just like, well, obviously not. You know, it's just not the time. There's just going to be other quilt shows. I have the book, right? We looked at the book together. And you know what? You know what I was thinking? I won't keep going too much about this. Hello, Marlene. Welcome. And hello, Dip Fried from St. Louis. St. Louis? Oh, I love St. Louis. I love St. Louis very much. I was thinking, I was like, oh, you know, we were braving the winter anyway. It's like, what if there's a huge storm? Massachusetts tends to get pretty big snowstorms in December. And I was thinking, you know, maybe we dodged a bullet. Maybe we would have gotten snowed in Boston. Or maybe they'll close the museum anyway. Don't know. You just don't know. Debbie, yes, I'm hearing you, Debbie. Oh, Debbie's in Phoenix. QuiltCon, I'm hearing you. Who knows? But I think maybe some people will choose, you know, not to do it. And some people choose, I don't know. Okay, good. Myra's thinking, yeah, oh, okay, Myra's saying no to QuiltCon. Myra says, I'm also discarding QuiltCon. I just can't afford to get sick. My work schedule is full of patience till kingdom come. Omicron is only going to get worse next week. It's spreading like wildfire and super fast. Take care, everyone. I mean, thank you for doing what you do. I hope people tell you that enough. Probably the best way is to like take care of ourselves and each other. It's probably the best way to thank you and healthcare workers. I'm sorry that you're calling that on QuiltCon. That makes me think, you know, like what can I, you know what? Oh my God. Okay. What if I did some kind of through the Modern Quilt Guild, I don't think I could pitch something and have them they're really busy. I don't want them to have another thing, but what if anybody who had a QuiltCon ticket who decided not to go because the coronavirus, you know, because they were mindful about, you know, taking care of their fellow man and woman and quilter, right? What if I could do some show me some kind of thing, like a special show, you know, here on Quilter, but it was members only basically. Cause I can do that where I do a special live stream, but you have to have you know, a code to get in or something. Maybe people wouldn't care, but some people might care. And I could do the lectures that I'm going to do at QuiltCon free for them. That would be cool, right? If I did the lectures that I'm doing at QuiltCon, I mean, if I go, I don't know, but I could do them for anybody who bought a ticket, who isn't going. Cause to be honest with you, them, and this is just me, this is not anything, you know, I heard, or I didn't hear anything. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything. Please understand that. But producing a live show and then with QuiltCon together, what the Modern Quilt Guild did with QuiltCon last year, it was just so much work. It was crazy. The plan is to have the live show. So having some huge, awesome, online version of the show while the live show would be happening is just, no one could do that at this point. It's 2 months away. But maybe I could you know, just a free thing. We can all hang out, and I could do the lectures that if they were interested in coming to them, they would miss them, you know. Yeah, do them for them. Yeah. Why not? Let's do it. I am also grateful we are here with one another, and it was Caroline who said last time, she's like, Quilt Nerd's sterile. We can do this all day. We're totally safe. It's true, man. It's really true. We can hang out here. NDH is here. 6160. We're in the 6160. Yeah, the fuckery. God. I love it. Yeah, I rubbed my eye today. It freaked me out. I'm so glad Akil's here. I'm so glad you are so welcome here. I'm so glad you're back. I'm sure everyone else is too. Okay, Kevin's here. Kevin's here from Philadelphia. Cases have doubled since Thanksgiving. Doubled in Philly since Thanksgiving. Yeah, there will be other quilt shows, dude. I mean, dude. Hey, Bip. Thanks, dude. Thanks for your comment, dude. Oh my God. So Demented says that you watched a YouTube video with the curator of Fabric of a Nation. They're working on making it a traveling show. 1000%. They would be very wise to do that for many reasons. Got your boosters. It's awesome. We got to do the best we can, says Joyous Fibers. 1000%. Yep. Turning a negative into a positive. Totally. This is the vibe here. If you're new here, this is the vibe. This is the vibe. Oh, cool, Carmen. Just so you know, in YouTube land, you did show up in the Twitch feed I'm reading. So this is great. So it's working. It's all working. Little Bird Stitch is here. I'm so glad you're here. Faith, you're in Indiana. This quilt is going to be meaningful to you. Dip Fried. Okay, good. Yeah, Mr. Orange. Lily Erickson is here. Oh, and Dip Fried, you said tonight you're doing a pair of stockings. Okay, yes. You're othering a pair of stockings. I think you're doing a pair of sock slippers for your mom's birthday tomorrow. Love that. Oh, I want sock slippers. Okay, good. MCU John is here. I'm so glad. Okay, Beastly Richard. Wait, did you have COVID? Beastly Richard. How did I miss it? Oh God. Oh no. Okay, so I missed the first one where you said that, and now I'm reading the symptoms are easing off. It never got bad enough to need painkillers. Okay, that's good. I'm sorry that you're having that experience. You can totally hang out here. Beastly Richard, let me just tell you. This show is for you. Okay? This show's for you. I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you and everybody else back tonight to 1982. That's right. 1982 and other places, but I'm going to take you back to 1982. 100 years before, let's see, 1881, look. Oh, yeah. Well, 100 years after this Civil War, reunion quilt was made, women were making, like, I don't know, quilts with... it changed. The world changed quite a bit. And in 100 years, it will be very different too. But anyway, Beastly Richard, just convalesce, chill, get some tea, whatever you need, and just leave it to us. Leave it to us. We want you to get better. We got this. Pensacola is represented by Amy and Mr. Orange. I don't know. I think Mr. Orange is being weird, but maybe not. Eileen. Okay, that's funny. Mr. Orange has a very non sequitur. What do you call a woman with one leg longer than the other? I was a little afraid, Mr. Orange, but you came through. What do you call a woman with one leg longer than the other? Eileen. It's good. I like it. We've not told jokes here on the show. I love telling, like, dad jokes. It's really fun. Okay, quilt show in Sydney. Okay, Kay's here. I'm gonna say hello to everybody and then get going. Eileen, it's pretty funny. Okay, Nancy is in New Jersey. She's here. Myra. Okay. Oh, Myra. Yeah, I don't want to burn out. Well, it's funny. You think that's good? Akhil, to have an exclusive lecture? I think it'd be really fun, and just tell everybody to, like, get chips and crisps and things. Okay, good. It's 12:30 p.m. Akhil. Okay. Faith, you're here. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming. It's really great to see you. And I have some crisps, and I have some water, and I have some vino. It's Friday night. And now let's talk about, and Bridgewater is here, and you have your iPod. Yeah, you have your iPad on. That's great. Good. Okay. So, all I'm going to say tonight about why you watch the show, why you should watch the show, is because quilts are really interesting. They're just really interesting, and we keep finding interesting things about them. So we keep looking at quilts to see interesting things about them because we like interesting things. And it just so happens that quilts, they just keep being interesting, right? A quilt from the 1960s is interesting because it was made in the 1960s, Maybe it was made for, like, some sort of charity event, right, to raise money for, the civil rights movement. Well, that's really interesting. So then we can look at that quilt and we can learn more about the civil rights movement, in that particular town or that particular place. Maybe we look at a quilt made in the 70s and it was made out of polyester, and it's like, oh, wow, yeah, the 70s, polyester. What was up with that? Who invented polyester? A quilt leads the way to something like that. Maybe we look at a quilt made in India in like 1760. What was happening there? I mean, what was India like in 1760, and who made this quilt? Maybe we actually know. We probably don't, but that's interesting too. And we try to figure out how much should a quilt cost, and it's impossible. Is it art? Is it craft? If it belongs to you and you've had it forever, it's like priceless. But you try to sell it at like a thrift store or something or whatever online, $200 maybe. If it's really, really, really special, $5,000. Like it's crazy. Quilts are so interesting. So we look at them, we talk about them, we nerd out about them. And tonight we have a lot of quilt makers in the chat. Not everybody who watches the show makes quilts. If you're watching the replay, I'm so glad you're watching the replay. The people who usually watch the replays, who get to join in on the live, know it's super cool to be here. Lily, I hope you can go to the show, the MFA. So it would be amazing. Nancy from New Jersey, I don't know if I said hi, I think I did. So we nerd out because there's so much to nerd out about. There's books, and there's magazines, and there's TV shows, and documentaries, and Twitch streams about quilts. So it's not just that, it's like, oh, we need a blanket. It's like, oh, we need a whole ecosystem. And quilts provide that. So every show starts with me talking about the quilt behind me. And so now I'm getting it small. By the way, if you are not a subscriber to this show, it would be amazing if you would subscribe. It's very encouraging to me, and you don't have to watch ads. If ads come in to your Twitch stream, which they do, Amazon owns Twitch, and they love the ads. Same with YouTube, whatever, Google. So you don't have to watch them, and you support my self-confidence. Like, oh, people subscribe. We're getting close to 100 subscribers. I think I have like 88 subscribers or something. It's so great. It's awesome. It makes me feel amazing. And when we get to 100 subscribers, I don't know, we got to do something fun. So okay, here we go. Oh, I'm small. I had to get small. This is the main scene here because I got to get small because we have so much to look at and examine. So start with this quilt, talk to you about this, and then jump into like the meat of the show, the soy patty of the show, if you are that person. Okay, so let me pull up this now. The image that I have of this is not much bigger than what you're seeing on your screen. I mean, that's the image that I have of this. This is a detail shot of a quilt that's owned by the Shelburne Museum, and the Shelburne Museum is in Vermont. It is, I should read the description of the museum. Shelburne Museum. It's the collection of the Havermeyer Webb. Oh gosh, I should have pulled this up. But here, about. I don't have to pull it up in my mind because I can just pull it up on the internet. About what is the museum story? So the Shelburne Museum in Shelburne, Vermont, is an unparalleled. This is from ShelburneMuseum.org. An unparalleled and unique experience of American history, art, and design, designed to allow visitors the pleasure of discovery and exploration. The museum includes 39 distinct structures, aka buildings, or 39 distinct structures on 45 acres. So this is a museum where you wear your walking shoes because it's like you go to all these different buildings and all over 45 acres. You're walking around to these different places on the campus. It's sort of like a campus. And each of these structures are filled with beautiful, fascinating, and whimsical objects. Come play in our gardens and open our many doors. You are welcome here. Oh, great. That's great copy. American folk art, French impressionist paintings, historic New England architecture, duck decoys. I'm always talking about duck decoys. That's like a bonus on our bingo card. Duck decoys. Circus animals and dolls. These were just some of the interests of Shelburne Museum founder Electra Havermeyer Webb. So we can talk more about the Shelburne. I visited the Shelburne to do a story on them with Quilt Folk Magazine. We took amazing pictures. They have a wonderful quilt collection. We really got to talk about the Shelburne. I got to write that down. It's high time. Okay, do Shelburne. See? Hang on. I have to do this. This is a thing now. My quilt nerd content plan. Look, it's episode 69. 17th December 2021. When we do 100 shows, that should be another big deal. Okay, like a celebration. Anyway, so this is a detail shot of a quilt made in 1881. It's the detail of a reunion ribbon quilt from 1881, made for Elijah Henry Clay Cavins. Made for Elijah Henry Clay Cavins, a Union soldier from Indiana, which was on display at an exhibit called Homefront Battlefield, Quilts and Context in the Civil War at the Shelburne Museum on September 26th in 2014. And Homefront and Battlefield, there's a book. It's funny, I actually think it's over there on my shelf. But today was a lot, so I didn't pull it out. There's a wonderful book, and there's a lot of quilt history related to the Civil War. You know, there's a lot of romance, I think, of quilts in the Civil War because it was such an extraordinary time in American history, and it's like, quilts were definitely being made in great numbers around that time. What's interesting, though, is I've read some of the history of quilts in the Civil War. This is an amazing book, okay? It's an amazing book, and I will find it, and we will talk about it. Civil War, but I know I didn't make this up, but someone told me once that there aren't as many quilts left over from that Civil War period or made during, the Civil War time, especially where things were really active in battle, because quilts were used to bury soldiers and they were burned up and it was war. And so there were quilts, that might have survived, but they didn't because they were burned in a scorched earth campaign or they were used to bury people, So clearly I should read this book and report back, or we can look at it together and learn more about quilts in the Civil War. But it's really, really interesting, obviously, to look at them at that time. And then, of course, there's, there's gunboat quilts, because the South funded their own war. I mean, they weren't getting money from the government they were trying to secede from, and so they raised money themselves and did all that. And so I've seen gunboat quilts, I'm sure they're in this book, right, where, ladies were making quilts to raffle, or sell, or, to make a quilt to help raise money in whatever way they used it, to raise money for boats and artillery and stuff. It's crazy. And you had abolition quilts, and so now I'm very excited to go dig this book out of my pile of books, or the ones down in my storage unit here in Chicago, and read up on it, because what a fascinating time, So that's what the little quilt image was behind me. It's from the show Homefront and Battlefield that was at the Shelburne Museum, that I'm pretty sure toured. I'm pretty sure it was a touring deal. Okay, great. I didn't know the Smashing Pumpkins leader of the band was in the chat. That's great. Okay, wait a minute. So Beasley Richard. Okay, so we need to talk about this. Wait a minute. Oh, this is great. So, okay, Beasley Richard, who's recovering from COVID, we have to give him some attention tonight, because it's like he's sick, and that's what you need. You need somebody to be like, meh. Not that, you know what I mean. Come on, you know what I mean. I want to say your dad joke is what I'm trying to say. What weighs more, a gallon of water or a gallon of butane? Answer, water weighs more. Butane is lighter fluid. Okay. That's very good. What's the one I can tell? I have a couple really blue jokes that are so good, but it's not that kind of party just yet, anyway. So let's see. Lillian loves the Shelburne. Same. I love it too. It's beautiful. It's an amazing place. Polyester. I'm so glad you're here. I just said polyester earlier. Polyester quilts. So let's see. let's see, who else is here? Beasley. Okay, now Beasley Richard, you have not made a quilt, and you don't own one. But if you keep watching the show like you've been doing, and we are very glad you're here, you might decide you have to. And the thing is, you have so many options. You know, you can make an art quilt, you can make a traditional one. You know, we're going to see a very interesting moment in quilt history here. That's going to be very, very impressive, I think, to people who are new here and people who have been here. Judy, I'm so glad you're here. You're from Indiana. Welcome, welcome. And now let's see, we've got, who else? Lily. Okay, Lily, yes. Okay. So, first of all, a really quick book review. I got this book, and it had great potential, right? I was very excited. I was very excited. I saw it on eBay, and I was like, this is great. Native American quilting designs. I figured there would be a lot of, history in this. I couldn't tell from the listing, but I was like, oh, this is great. They're gonna talk about stuff, and it's from AQS, American Quilters Society. I'm sorry, I don't want to. I'm sure Ms. Dr. Joyce Morey is a lovely person. I mean it. I'm sure he's lovely. I don't like to say anything. I don't want to say her book is bad, but like, it's not what I thought it would be. This is the introduction. That is all. That's the introduction, and then you go into like cutting instructions and stuff. Whoa. It's just not what I was looking for. However, so that's not the best. There's some interesting quilts in here. I mean, whoa, the green screen just loves it when I do that. But this one, however, which is one of the quilts I found, or one of the books I found. Don't you do that. Don't you be weird. What if I hold it like this? No. It's called Morningstar Quilts. I'll put it in the show notes. And it's great. It is great. It's, does it have a subtitle? No, it doesn't. It doesn't, but it's, a presentation of the work and lives of the Northern Plains Indian women. It's great. Florence Pulford. It's really, really good. So there's a ton of history in here. There's great quilts. A lot of, this is written by Ella Blackbird, Cree Indian. I mean, it's really what you want it to be, right? It's really what you want it to be. So I can highly recommend Morningstar Quilts. Can't really recommend the other one. Just so you know. Hey, Susan Armichael. What's up? Got your, read through your message. Thank you so much. I will be hitting you back. Yes, it's true. It's true. We're talking about quilts. Okay. So, what's going on? What are we going to talk about tonight? I mean, what are we going to talk about next? I think I need a crisp. So, let me open up my, I gotta get small. Help, I'm small. Here we go. Who among you was a subscriber to Quilters Newsletter Magazine? Hang on. Let me do something real quick. I just realized that the antique, or the vintage, issues that I have of Quilters Newsletter Magazine have an old address of somebody who actually had the magazine. Let me just snip that out. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But I can clip it out anyway. So who was was a subscriber to Quilters Newsletter? Quilters Newsletter Magazine folded. I mean, it was folded by the company that bought it. I guess like in 2016 or 17. I remember I was in grad school. Pretty sure I was in grad school, and someone called me to tell me. And I cried. I mean, I really did. I cried because it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that a company that purchased this legendary publication failed to get it right. you know, and it's a legendary publication. Sorry, I'm just fixing this thing. It's a legendary publication because this woman, Bonnie Lehman, started Quilters Newsletter at her kitchen table, you know, like in 1969, I'm pretty sure. Hello, that's my husband. Started it in like 1969 at her kitchen table, and Quilters Newsletter was this just landmark publication. It was the first magazine made for quilt makers. I have so many images for you. I have to like scroll through a bunch of them to get to what I need to redact the thing. So it was a huge deal. It was very very popular. People who read Quilters Newsletter Magazine were in touch with other quilt makers. We're going to see that. We're going to see how important it was for this, you know, the network of quilters that was forming all across the country. People heard about, because this is before the internet, obviously. For decades before the internet, people used Quilters Newsletter Magazine, which started as a newsletter and then became a magazine. Used it to know what shows were going on. We're going to see all of that, okay? It's important that I do this. Sorry, I'm doing it live. And so, here we go. Great, done, perfect. Great. Just one more. So yeah, so I'm going to look at the chat here in just a second and see who oops. Here we go. Okay, done. Great. Save. Cool. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Hold on. Wait. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect, actually. Perfect. Okay. I know, I need to give you a second. Sorry. Okay. So let me check the chat. So who did? Who has had this magazine in their life for a long time before it folded? Okay. Hey, Word and Bird Nerd, you're taking a break from hubby time. Listen, your husband is probably like, this show that you watch, Quilt Nerd, sounds great. She used to just be on 3 times a week. Now she seems to be on all the time, and it's true because it's Twitchmas, and I'm just streaming a whole bunch. And actually, since I'm not going to Boston now, maybe add some added streams. I don't know. But yeah, I'm on a lot, you know, and we're hanging out a lot because it's Twitchmas. And it's my favorite thing to do is be with you all. So say hey to the hubs. And we all approve, you know, spending time with him. So Demented, you have some Quilters newsletters from the 80s. You subscribed. Yep, you subscribed. So Demented, yes. Dee Marie was on and off until about 2010. Yep, Susan Michael picked up from some quilting friends. Yep, Dana, you were born in 95. This is before your time. Absolutely. And I mean, Quilters Newsletter Magazine was all around my house. You were a young lady. 95. God, I was in high school. But yeah, totally before your time. I mean, I think Quilters Newsletter folded, yeah, like in 2015 or something like that. So this is completely like not on your radar, right? But it's a legendary magazine. And you know what? I'm so glad. Dana, you just stay right where you are, because what you're about to see is incredible. It's amazing. Like in context, like you as a quilter in 2021, born in 1995. I mean, can we all just like recognize that you are about to experience Quilters Newsletter? And this is like so cool because this magazine is ridiculous. It's so awesome. I mean, if you're a quilt nerd, obviously I am. And obviously you are, or you wouldn't be here, right? On a Friday night, am I right? Listen, it's like the most fun I can have. And Polyester feels like she'll never catch up on all the episodes of Quilt Nerd. You can. Just go to my channel, subscribe, and hit play all. You can do it. You can do it. Nancy subscribed for years and loved it. And Dana's like, yeah, all my quilty friends are 2 or 3 times my age. And this is interesting. And Akhil, by the way, was born in 94. Akhil, you're just getting cooler all the time. Okay, here's the deal. One of the things, Dana, I want to say to you is that what you'll see in Quilters Newsletter, quite a bit actually, is that, the quilters who are 2 and 3 times your age, many of them, not all of them, but many of them started making quilts when they were your age. Because the quilt revival in the 70s and stuff, and in the 80s when people were really starting to like experiment, we're going to see all of that, okay? Because I have 3 issues of Quilters Newsletter from 1982, January, February, and March, okay? And I've got them right here. But I scanned them for you. Ooh, how meta is that? Whoa, woo. And so, women like were, and men too, of course, but so many women in the United States and beyond were like experimenting with like art quilts and stuff. They were like, oh, I really like making a Dresden plate like the quilt you see before you here, but also, like, what else can I make that's like artistic? Like, how can I express my artistic self, Okay, so we're going to take a look. I mean, that's what we're just going to do. We're just going to look at Quilters Newsletter Magazine. And I went through and I scanned some of the most interesting pages. But the thing is, it's all interesting. And the reason that I... Nancy. Okay, yeah, the reason that I have these, I bought on eBay, I think. Someone had all of the issues of Quilters Newsletter Magazine from 1982. And I need them because there's a lot of information, a lot of content, and even some ads in the Quilters Newsletters of 1982 about Ralph Lauren cutting up vintage quilts for his clothes. And it's amazing. But starting in about April, Bonnie Lehman, we'll get to that on another show. But I needed that for my research, for my manifesto and my video and my lecture about how you can't cut up quilts for vintage quilts for clothes anymore, which you can't if you're watching this. So Nancy subscribed. Lillian from YouTube says, you're the granddaughter of everyone in your quilting guild. Like the granddaughter. God bless you. Okay. Quilters Newsletter. So we are in January 1982. And we're just going to flip through. I scanned some really exciting pages from Quilters Newsletter. And you know what? Okay, well, no, we're just going to go one page at a time. That's cool. We're going to go one page at a time, but I want you to kind of keep in your mind, in this particular case, the reason that I scanned this, so I scanned like really interesting pages. It's all interesting, but of course, we're not going to look through the entire magazine. We probably would be down to do that, but I tried to be an editor a little bit here, and pick some really interesting things. The reason that I picked this, and the thing that you have to know about Quilters Newsletter is, and I'm going to totally throw shade toward the quilt magazines of today, okay, except for Quilt Folk, obviously, because Quilt Folk is a very, very different magazine. No ads, no patterns, just stories, okay? That's Quilt Folk. So Quilters Newsletter had content. Today's magazines, and they're totally, like, if you subscribe to quilt magazines and you love them, that's great. If you want patterns, you're going to get them. If you want to know about, like, the latest stuff and you want to know what Bernina is up to because you're looking for a new sewing machine, like, 1,000%, this is good content, okay? There's good stuff. With quilt magazines, you know what the new fabric is. Like, it's great. You know what the you know who the hot designers are, right? Because the hot designers are going to get a pattern published in a magazine. I edited Quilty magazine for Fons and Porter for 5 years. The people who are submitting quilts maybe for you to run in the magazine. These are rising stars. I remember Carolyn Friedlander had a quilt in Quilty magazine. I'm pretty sure. Latifa Safir. Like these different people. So there's reasons to subscribe to those magazines, but Quilters Newsletter did something else. And before advertising became it seemed like the main event for these magazines, decades later, Quilters Newsletter it had really great content. For example, The Meetin' Place. The Meetin' Place was a feature in Quilters Newsletter. And let us introduce you to this woman and her quilts, of Maplewood, New Jersey, Jean V. Johnson. And it's her story. It's basically, Quilt Folk kind of does this too. It's like, hey, here's this person who lives in this place and she makes quilts, and maybe she's famous, or maybe he's a fifth generation quilt maker. Maybe they just started later, and maybe Lily Ann. Let us introduce you to Lily Ann. She is the granddaughter of everybody in her guild, you know. But the reason I picked this, I have 2 pages of this article, okay? So from January 1982, I scanned both pages of this, okay? Because look, let's just analyze what's going on here, okay? It's 1982, okay? Ackhill, no, Love of Quilting is not related to Quilters Newsletter Magazine. Love of Quilting was also a huge publication, and in its day, there was a ton of great content there too. Haven't looked at it lately. But different magazine. Quilters Newsletter started in 1969. Love of Quilting magazine started 1999 or 2000, somewhere in there, I think. What's happening here is really interesting because 1982. Okay, so look at this lady, and I just love the idea that she's like, I'm going to be featured in Quilters Newsletter Magazine. Like, I'm going to get my hair done that morning. I'm going to wear my nicest blouse, and maybe we can get the dog to sit on the quilt. And I know this because as a magazine editor for Quiltfolk magazine, I spent a fair amount of time over the years that I was editor of that magazine on location doing photo shoots, trying to get dogs that lived in the house, with the owner's permission, of course, to sit on the quilt, because a dog on a quilt, it's great. It's a great picture. So this is what's happening here. But this is a very traditional quilt, okay? We might be here a while. There's a lot to say tonight, so just so you know. This is a very, very traditional quilt. It's a log cabin, okay? Just pretty much the way it goes, okay? This is a sunshine trip around the world sort of. It's just a patchwork quilt, man. It's just pretty basic. So it's kind of funny too. I was thinking, like, it looks like the doll like turned into the woman. You know, it's like there was a doll and then there was her. No. So this is all about her. But it's 1982. So this woman who seems like, you know, a traditional quilter, right? Look what else she makes. Look at these crazy designs. Look at this wild art stuff that she's doing. I mean, when you think about quilt history, like in the 20th century, in the second half of the 20th century, in the last quarter of the 20th century, art quilts are becoming a thing. And it's just so interesting to me. It's so interesting that this traditional art form, quilts, right? Quilts like that. People were making quilts like this, and they were great, and they had been making them forever. But in the 1980s, and it happened, of course, a little bit before, in the 60s and the 70s, and things are happening. But then this is a mainstream like magazine for quilters across the nation and beyond, but like everybody subscribed to Quilters Newsletter. It's huge. So a lady like this, sorry, I'm flipping back and forth, but like a lady like this, and what do I mean? Well, you know, she's got a conservative blouse on, which with her pussy bow, that's what it's called, okay? That's what it's called. And her dog and her, you know, and her little peacock feathers. That's kind of wild in the bedroom, but anyway, this really traditional quilt, but she's doing this too. This is crazy. I mean, it's so artsy. That's Washington, D.C., right? That's the Washington Monument there. So she's doing this pictorial, you know, abstract wall hanging. And it's exciting because the quilt is changing. And like, we don't get modern quilts as such, like the modern quilt style that we talk about sometimes, and it's so wonderful. QuiltCon is all about the modern quilt, you know. We don't get there unless this happens, in my opinion. You know, we have to get to quilts. We have to get to modern quilts by going through this, and it's just fascinating. It's not even about, like, take away the fact it's a quilt. It's like, okay, you have a very traditional art form that goes through a major change to become, like, there's like a straightforward, you know, art form. It's just like this plain sort of thing. It's wonderful and it's varied and it's lovely, and but then it just like totally morphs into this other thing. It's like, whoa, well, what happened, you know? And quilts totally did that. So this lady with her dog and her lovely blouse is like, oh, I'm gonna rock this like thing. I'm gonna do this. What's it called? This one. So this one's called Reflecting Pool, based on a log cabin. Okay, pieced with cottons above the waterline. Oh, wow. And silky fabrics below. So this is cotton up here, above the waterline, and then she used silk on the bottom. So she's mixing. It's fabulous. And then the one down below, or the second one, is called I Saw Three Ships. And it's based on pineapple construction, which is a classic quilt pattern, a classic quilt block, pineapple construction. It's a whole thing. It's just normal. It's just people have been doing it for generations, pineapple stuff. But she's using it to do this abstract thing. And look at that. Okay, the frame is heavy whale corduroy. Okay, so this is corduroy in the frame, and it says, it was a gift to her husband Charles, and it hangs in his office. Blam. People come into Chuck's office, and they're like, wow. And he's like, yeah, my wife made that. She is awesome. Just very interesting. It's very interesting. Okay, now look at this. What the? Well, why is it doing that? That's so weird. Okay, well, it's cutting off the bottom of this thing, but that's okay, because I have the, I don't know why, that's very weird. Hold on. It's like seeing the next picture before giving me. So here. This is the whole thing. Let me just do this real quick. Okay. That's the whole thing. Okay. You're not missing that much. I mean, it's a pictorial quilt. It's like that. Okay. So Treasure Island. So this is designed by that lady. It's called Treasure Island. It's a quilt. And there's a pattern for it on the next page. So let me just, so she's done this like abstract, funky pictorial thing, and Quilters Newsletter gives you the pattern to make it. And so, okay, I gotta get it. Okay, okay. Let me just get in here. 2 publications. Okay, courthouse steps. Yeah. Unique. Yeah, Sue. Wow is right. Whoa is right. You guys, I love you all so much. You're like, whoa, yeah, that's amazing. Wow, and it's totally cool, isn't it? That she's like, I'm gonna mess around with this stuff. I miss the magazine too, Mother Nature. It's so good to see you, by the way. Modern quilters are looking for the new. So Dementon says. I agreed. I think they're going back to the basics. Yeah. I have so much to say about that, and we'll all have much to say about it, I think, as we look at this. So as we look at these different pages too, I want you just to notice, I sound like a teacher in class, I want you to notice, but I do. I want you to notice all of these ads. So before this time, like 1982, stuff is popping. It's popping in the quilt industry. This was the first magazine for quilt makers in this way, okay? There was no quilt industry before. I mean, like, a lot of people started, I know people started making quilts at different times, and we saw the Gutchins, Beth and Jeffrey Gutchin, who were like doing amazing work, in like 1970, anyway, they were pioneers, whatever, but like, cover up apron pattern. Look, this person is in Edmonds, Washington, and she is selling her pattern, and you can write to her in Edmonds, Washington, and you can pay $4.50 and $1 for shipping, and she'll send you the pattern. Okay, there's no internet. Okay, look at this: the Quilt Depot, Anaheim, California. A heart grabber for your Valentine. Charity begins at home. It's a pattern. Right now you can go on to patternmart.com, run by my brilliant and beautiful friend Heather, and you can buy all kinds of patterns, but you couldn't do that before. So you'd look at Quilters Newsletter, and you'd find ads for what you wanted. Look, by the pound, cloth factory remnants. Buy it by the pound, the finest velvet, yard goods, Quilters Special. Because there were starting to be quilt shops. But if you're not a quilter, it's like, let me just tell you how we feel about quilt shops. I mean, there are shops that are they're for quilt makers. They have notions, which are supplies. They have fabric, and that's all they do. They sell supplies and stuff for quilters, sewing machines. Some of them don't sell sewing machines, but those didn't exist before. And so what you see when you look at Quilters Newsletter in 1982 is like history in front of your very eyes. And by the way, for my friend Dana and for Akhil, even though I know you're not a quilter yet. You're not a quilter yet, are you? Yes. And Beasley Richard, we don't use a lot of templates these days. Now we do, but back at this time, my younger sister Rebecca was born in 82. I was born in 79. I grew up remembering my mother cutting templates, cutting these templates out, tracing these templates onto template plastic, and then putting them on fabric and drawing around the template and then cutting with scissors around the template to get the piece that you needed. And in a quilt like this, you would probably still need to do that. for some pieces, but you also have all these new tools. I mean, someday we should just talk about the tools, like the rotary cutter. We have this cutter that's like a razor blade on a wheel, and you just cut all kinds of pieces really fast because you have this whole system that will cut things really fast. But it didn't used to be that way. So Quilters Newsletter, part of what was in the magazine were templates. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy? How much did the magazine cost? Marlene, that's such a good question. How much did it cost? How much is it? Does it say? It doesn't say. Hang on. Let's see. Okay, 1 year subscription, 10 issues. They combined July and August and November, December, I think. I know they combined July, August, and I think November and December, yeah. It was $10. It was $10 for 1 year. If you subscribe for 2 years, it was $19. You get $1 off. 3 years, $28. Canada was, you had to add $2, and overseas you had to add $8. It's $1, basically. Okay? Amazing. Yes, listen, Dee Marie, did you know that the people who created the rotary cutter were architects? Japanese architects. Oh, Yvonne has templates. Yvonne has a collection of templates. That's really cool. The Flinster and Allison. Oh, Allison. I read your name as Allison Provocateur. I like it. I'm so glad you're here. This is great. I'm going to be on for a while. I can feel it. Okay, so, because there's so much to look at. Okay, so look at this. Now, I scanned a few different pages that show us, okay, more examples of what was happening. Look at what this page has. This is 1980. Look at this super traditional quilt. Ohio Star, 19th century. People are interested in this, you know. They want to see it. Look, among those quilts, this particular quilt on the left-hand side down there, 19th century, private collection, it's among those quilts to be exhibited at Quilts, an American Romance, on May 10 through 15 in Troy, Michigan. Part of what this magazine offered, what's new and news, we'll see different pages of this, all the shows. There were shows everywhere. Look, Nashville, Tennessee, National Open Competition for Needle Expressions, the third biennial juried exhibit sponsored by National Standards Council of American Embroiderers. They're everywhere. Los Angeles, California, Esther Parkhurst, introduced in Quilters Newsletter Magazine column last month, was given 2 important commissions for 7 quilts to be hung in public buildings. The new Marriott Hotel in Salt Lake City, and the newly rehabilitated Valley River Inn in Eugene, Oregon. She signed contracts for these commissions in 81, and she was going to be ready. So this is the quilt that Esther made for the Marriott in Salt Lake City, Utah. How cool is that? I love it. It's so cool. And the Marriott was like, what awesome thing can we hang in what piece of art do we want? We can hang one piece of art in our big lobby in Salt Lake City, Utah. What should it be? And in 1981 and 82, quilt, was like, obviously something that people were like, oh, we should get a quilt because they're really hot and people are doing cool things with them or whatever, or my friend is making quilts, whatever. That is so rad. I mean, in different fabrics, 1000% a quilt that could be a QuiltCon. Am I right? And yeah. Ooh, okay. Yeah, just a guy sewing. Who isn't? Just a guy sewing. No, yeah. You're in a rut. Akhil, you know what you're doing. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of someone else. Pardon me. I am trying to keep everyone straight and sometimes I fail. Yeah, it's amazing they could be so precise without rotary cutters. Exactly. Although if you have really, really good scissors, like Ginger scissors, my mom had Ginger scissors and they were like holy. Like you could not use them. If you used my mom's Ginger scissors for art projects, which let's face it, we really wanted to do, they were so sharp and nice. They're like dressmaker shears. It was death. And my mom wasn't like a mean mom, but we would get in big, big trouble if we used her really nice Ginger scissors. And they're so sharp, you could get pretty accurate with them. But Beasley Richard says, if I were making a quilt, I'd use the laser cutter to cut paper templates. Agreed. And but you have to be careful because the laser can burn things. I tried to laser cut fabric once and it did not work very well. But I only did it at my friend's house. It was a pretty limited experimentation kind of deal. But now we have die cutters and stuff. It's so interesting. I mean, there's definitely a way to laser cut templates. Actually, some of you may know. Do you have laser cut templates? I'm sure it's there by now. It has to be. Sandpaper. Yep. People use that. So this one here. So this one. What is this one? Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, no. So both of these quilts, this one here, which is I just love it. And this one here, they're both made by Esther Parkhurst, and they're both permanently hanging in the Marriott, Salt Lake City, Utah. Are they still? Likely not. That was a long time ago, and they've probably updated things. I love them. I think they're awesome. And look at this. In Greenville, North Carolina, the North Carolina Quilt Symposium 82, including a judged quilt show and workshops by Nancy Halpern, one of my favorite quilters of all time, Barbara Brackman, and Carter Hauk. I don't know how to say her name. It's really bad because she's a famous quilt historian and scholar. They're doing a thing. In Chicago, the Land of Lincoln Quilt Symposium, featuring nationally known speakers, workshops, and commercial exhibits at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare. And then there's a show in New Orleans. I mean, is that a thing now? Do we have huge shows like that now? Forgive me if I'm really ignorant. I know there's quilt shows that happen all the time. Guilds put on shows in normal, non-COVID times. But I mean, it just seems like there was so much happening. And look at this thing. You guys are going to love this. You're going to love it. You're just going to love it. Kevin says, I think we're starting to see a reimagining of templates or reimaging of templates in quilting with like Tig Flanagan. Yeah. Is it Tig? Am I saying that right, Kevin? If anybody who knows. And Daisy, Ashahaug, who are combining home laser cutting machines. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Beasley Richard, you've got it. It's all about the lasers. Volenvine put a quilt on it. 1,000%. That's what we do around here. We put a quilt on it. And if you have, Quilt Sue's like, if you have my Ginger scissors, you better be running. And yes, Gingers and printing. Oh yeah, you have a Brother Scan and Cut. AccuQuilt die. Yeah, I know the die cutters are very controversial. You know, the die cutters, you can really go fast, but there's a lot of waste. I know my friend Ebony Love, man, she's like all about the die cutter. She's so good at quilting and long arming, and she's all about the die cutter, and I just don't feel like I have room. Yep. You'd have to keep, Beasley Richard is saying, you'd have to keep the fabric very flat to stop the laser from losing focus. Yeah, you know, we have sewing machines with lasers in them. Maybe I already said that. I don't know. Lasers. We're all about it. Quilters are all about the technology. We love our gear. Okay, so this quilt, I'm going to blow your mind. So this is by Jean V. Johnson, the lady we saw before. Look at what this quilt is. Okay, are you seeing this? Okay. Y'all, it's hexes. It's hexes. We're going to go back. We're going to look. But it's all hexes. Now, if you're a quilt maker, that's just kind of a revelation, isn't it? Oh, I should be showing them side by side, shouldn't I? I'm gonna have to do it. Hang on, because our brains are just like, what? Okay, hang on. Let me do it. Let me do it. What I need to do. Because it's wild that's a hexagon pattern. But when you see it, it's like, what? It's so great. Okay, here, and then here, and then what is this? This is from January. Okay, I'm so organized. I have everything. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh dear. Oh yeah, here. Okay. Okay. Look at that. Look how prepared I am for you. Oh, wait. No. Wait. What? No. Nope. I don't like that. I don't like that business. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine. Oh yeah. No, this is fine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. No problem. That scared me. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to open with preview. Actually, I'm going to do it like this. I've got everything so organized right now, picture wise, and like going through the years and like doing all this stuff. I just can't lose that. So I'm just going to open it with a different application. And that's going to be easy because you need to see them together. You need to see them together, okay? I can eat a chip, crisp, have a little glass of wine while this is happening. So I'll read to you while this is loading. The design for Gather Ye Rosebuds, Jean says, was inspired by a blank sheet of hexagraph paper ordered through Quilters Newsletter Magazine. We're glad she had the blank hexagraph to color because she created such a lovely quilt from it. One quite different from any other quilt we have seen made from hexagons. The judges of the 1979 Maplewood, New Jersey Needle Art Contest liked it too. They gave it first prize. Does anyone else hate Acrobat with a passion? I do. I hate it. I hate Acrobat and I hate Dropbox, for the record. Based on a 2-inch hexagon, for which a pattern is given on the next page. Okay, it makes a quilt 84 by 100. So it's big. It's big. We may get our other image, but you know what? I don't like the weird skipping that's doing, so I'm gonna get out of that business. I don't want anything messing up this show. So let's just look at the diagram, okay? We're gonna play it safe. This is it. This is what she did. So it's just, for those of you who are new to quilting or haven't, played with hexagons or whatever, to get in the chat. I mean, are you all freaking out like I'm freaking out? Yeah, down with Dropbox, totally. Vullen Vine's like, would it be too much to tile my bathroom floor in that pattern? No. I mean, so these are all hexagons, obviously, right? They're all little hexagons. And the butterflies, by the way, that's a quilting motif. So the quilt itself, there's no butterflies that you can see on it. That's in the quilting stitches. So when you quilt all the layers together after you've done your pretty hexagon patchwork, you can quilt in butterflies and words and all these things with the thread that you use to quilt it all together. But first you have to make the patchwork, and that's the patchwork. Isn't it neat? Was it hand or machine sewn? You know what? We can figure it out after we look at this. Oh yeah, Judy's like, after tracing around cereal box templates several times, the edges of the template would get bent. That is exactly what happened to all of our cereal boxes, is Mom would use that cardboard for templates. It's just so interesting. Are my chips green today? Are they? Yep. It's the tariff. Ooh, look. What? Let's see. What pirate joke can we make? The quilting pirate joke. What's a quilt term that's got an R in it? What are your favorite kind of quilts? What's a pirate's favorite genre of quilt? Art quilts. All right. So I thought you'd all like that very much. Let's see. Let's just see if it says. It doesn't say. It doesn't say if it's hand or machine quilted, but you know what? Actually, I don't know. I feel like she would do all kinds of stuff. So then I included this because it's like, this is super traditional. So you've got this crazy stuff going on in this magazine, and then it's like, no, because quilters are all kinds of quilters are reading this magazine. And I think that's so great because in my time with the rise of the Modern Quilt Guild, it's really been a thing that, there's the moderns and there's the art quilters and there's the traditional quilters, and Mom has said to me, we were all together. And she said that for years. She's like, it was really not like that there were these art quilters and there were like us traditional quilters. It sort of happened later where there were just more, the genre of art quilts were like, it's expanding, and then they had their own, SAQA, the Studio Art Quilters Association, started happening. But she's like, but in the beginning we were all together. And looking through these issues of Quilters Newsletter, I totally got it. Like I finally totally got it, that it was all just quilt making bananas excitement. And some people were like, oh, did you see that lovely marigold garden quilt pattern in Quilters Newsletter? I'm going to make that for myself. And then other people were like, oh yeah, look at this. See all these templates. Look at that. You have to like draft things. and add a 1/4 inch. And other people were like, I'm gonna mix silk and corduroy and do an abstract riff on things. Calico, yep. Oh, Lord. Bridgewater and VA. Why did the pirate get into quilting? The patches. It's pretty good. It's really good. Oh, Lord. Beastly Richard, this is good. South Asian pirates don't have quilts. They have ours. I love you people. That's all I want to do is hang out here. Hand piece. So Dimension's like, it's got to be hand piece, that hexie quilt. Yeah, because hexies are hard and tedious by machine to quilt. I didn't know that. I've never tried it. Yep. Interesting. These are good jokes. They're good jokes. Jokes, as my friend says. Oh, okay. Look at this. This is why Quilters Newsletter is so amazing. I love you, Dresden plate. I'm sorry. No. Oh, and look down here, an ad for the Quilters frame. $80. Handcrafted quilt frame. Will go to 125 by 120. As well as 6 other sizes. It lies compactly in 2 easy-to-store boxes. I mean, long arm machines were not a thing. You could not buy one. Ivana, you were a gleam in your mother's eye. You know? You were just a twinkle in your mother's eye at that time. Like, they just weren't a thing. Long arm machines totally existed, but they were used in, like, industrial capacities, you know? Like, factories that made mattresses and, you know, really long arm machines. But now we have these long arm quilting machines where it's basically a sewing machine, a fancy sewing machine that replaces that frame. It's a frame. You load your quilt onto the long arm machine and you quilt your quilt with a long arm. But that didn't exist yet. But look at this. I love you, Dresden plate. So Dresden plate is the block you see before you. That's a Dresden plate block. I won't read it all, but I just have to say this would not happen. What I was going to say before. This would not be run in a quilt magazine today. You know why? Because you can't sell an ad for it. You can't sell fabric for it. It's just content. It's just awesome content. I must admit, Peggy Beals is like, I must admit, I didn't love you at first sight. Same. When friends made you of scraps and calicos on unbleached muslin, I wasn't attracted. I began to teach, and since you're generally regarded as a good beginner pattern, I tested you without enthusiasm using scraps on muslin. You were pleasant, quick, handwork. I love this. I started taking you places, turning out plates at the orthodontist, the airport, the muffler shop. She's amazing. As I got to know you better, I began to be fond of your finer qualities. I learned how to bring out the best in you. Bless you. With quilting. I tried doing you a 1/4 inch inside each section, but ran into too many layers. Then I did you in the ditch. Sorry. And loved the way you puffed up. Sometimes I went right on out like sun rays to the margin. She's talking about her quilting. Okay. Then I tried a couple of rounds outside of you. The corners of your simple block invited hearts, feathers, creativity. Getting bolder, I tried you on a colored background and fell in love. In a fit of playfulness, I collected pink backgrounds and pink prints. You were huggable. I'm reading all of this. Sorry. You can, it's on the replay, you just fast forward. I did you again in blue, in green. I made you in brown prints against brown backgrounds for a prize winner. People at the exhibit would appreciate you with their eyes as their hands instinctively went out to stroke your warm brown curves. Well, oh, we had a future DP. This is hysterical. Switching abruptly, I did you in the, it's just ridiculous. I did you in the palest pastels against white, then in bold blues and greens. Oh yeah, this is Twitch After Dark. This is exactly what we're talking about, Lily Ann. Oh, we had a future DP. Oh, God. Switching abruptly. Everybody just stop. I did you in pale pastels against white, then in bold blues and greens, framing each block in a compatible print. In half circles of sunny colors against half blocks of blue, you made a lively sunrise. As fan edged in lace, you showed me another facet of your personality. She is really leaning in to this metaphor, this role play. An explosion of a back to Peggy. An explosion of a quilt based on a favorite chintz was another ribbon grabber. Humble brag. Little bit of a humble brag. It's like, oh, you won me so many awards. I love you, Dresden plate. I made $300 today. Isn't you? Oh no, I almost spilled my wine. No, I'm kidding. I'm just trolling. Okay. You were in harmonizing prints and the chintz set against backgrounds. Sorry. Okay, hold on. I gotta make sure. This article is gold. Thank you, Sam. Okay. There's so much good. Okay. You were in harmonizing prints, and the chintz set against backgrounds of 4-patch and 6-pack solids of the same colors. 6-patch solids. Exhausted, I wound down by tying you in blue and purple prints against pale blue print backgrounds. You were still lovable and dependable. But now our affairs seem to cool down. Oh, she's got this arc. It's really an arc. You got around, you little rascal. This is not me, this is her. It's really funny. Let me go back. But now our affairs seem to cool down. You got around, you little rascal. I saw you on the backs of shirts, half a plate on a blouse yoke, on tote bags and pillows, silk and satin plates on a smashing black evening skirt. I always waved. I began to miss you. I remembered more often your tremendous possibilities. I wanted to explore them anew. Now I'm seeing you as a sunflower, indeed as a sun. I'm considering a block of half blue, half green, and the plate of green on blue and vice versa. Maybe each color is complementary against an opposite background. White on white? At a luncheon today, my paper napkin showed Queen Anne's lace against deep blues. Would you let me substitute you for the lace and... ... Come on, DP. Let's grab the scrap bag and run. And scene. Okay, thank you, Myra. 50 Shades of Dresden Plate. So okay. It was there were allusions to lovers, right? I mean, like, I thought I was kind of like, I thought I was reaching a little, I mean, I thought my mind was in the gutter, you know, I thought I was being like, you know, kind of crude about some of that. But I don't think so. I think that's what, I mean, let's grab the scrap bag and run. I mean, that's like, we're lovers and we're going to run away, right? When I said it wouldn't show up in a quilt magazine today, I had no idea what I was really getting into. That was awesome. That was so awesome. Oh my God. You see, this is why I had to show. Okay, so that was January, all right? Now we're going to talk about February. You have no idea what you're in store for. But I need to take a quick break, really quick, and we're going to come back. And I've got 2 more issues. One of them, I think that was maybe the longest. I don't know. I've got, let me just show you. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're doing these. So I've got this one, okay? And then I've got this one. You got to stick around because there's, I mean, oh yeah, is Sibby Mac here? Sibby, are you here? Peggy does rock. I love Peggy. Anyway, okay, I'll be right back. Here's some Christmas music. Here's some, yeah, just hang on. Okay, now also I'm going to do something and I'm going to put a question in the chat, or I'm going to ask you now. I'm going to play the thing, the be right back screen. Can you tell me if you hear the music? Okay, so just like say like, we can hear it, okay? I'll be right back, 5 minutes, but just let me know. Okay. Hey. So, welcome back. Yeah, had to get some. I haven't had any of my chips or my wine or my water, so I have to make sure I'm doing all that. It's Friday night. Okay. I hope you're enjoying this Quilters Newsletter moment. I am. Let me tell you. So, okay. So I mean, we started with January. Okay. One announcement I didn't do. Let me just open with that. There was another bit of travel I was going to do at the very end of the year. I was going to go to New York City to see my sister Hannah. Eric and I were going to go. We're not doing that either, obviously. So the schedule, the sweater schedule, it's in the Discord. It's a PDF. I will also... Where else can I put it for people? Anyway, there actually, if you're not in the Discord and you're like, well, whatever, I'm not a part of that, just... I'm updating my Twitch schedule. I think there's going to what's there is going to stay the same. So if you got the schedule as it is now, nothing will change. But I think I might actually add a stream, at least one. I have to do all the other stuff, that the show needs, which is a lot. But I also just really like doing the show because that's what it's all about. So there may be another stream added toward the end of the month because we're not going to New York. So I can do something different anyway. So just check the schedule if you're curious about that and stay up to date. Okay, so here we are. We're going to do this. Okay, let me get small. Okay. Oh yeah, that's great. Okay. So look at this quilt. And if you just joined us, we're looking at a magazine from 1982 about our favorite thing, which is quilts, and like nerding out on a magazine from 1982. If you're a quilt magazine from 1982 is bananas because you're basically seeing a snapshot of what was to come, right? Obviously you're looking at a piece of history, but it's a crazy moment in quilt history because basically art with a capital A has arrived. Not that quilts were not art with a capital A before, but I'm just saying this very specific aesthetic was like changing what we know about the quilt as an object. And if you're a textile person or an art person or a historian or a visual artist or a designer, graphic designer, it's interesting. It's like, whoa. And all this new technology, the new fabrics that were available, it's a moment, right? It's a mood. Look at this quilt. Are you seeing this? Look at this. I've never seen anything like that before. And is it not so cool? I mean, what? It's just wild. Lily, by the way, said she never thought quilts had fan fiction. Quilt blogs had fan fiction, but Peggy made it happen. If you missed that, you should definitely rewind when you can and watch it. That is it's so cool. If I was a modern quilter and I saw this, I would be like, how can I make something like that doesn't rip off the person who made it? And I have to find who is it. Okay, quilt. Oh, yeah. Here we go. It's by Nancy Smith. Oh, in Golden, Colorado. That's interesting. That's where Needle Arts, Golden Peak Media owns a lot of quilt magazines, but it had nothing to do with this. But anyway, Golden, Colorado. Nancy Smith made these two quilts. This one's called Through Colored Windows. Okay, 86 by 63, 1980, made in 1980. And below, this insane bit, Beyond the Cube, Gleaming the Cube, 50 by 50. But look, see, you see the background? See, I thought the quilt was, I thought it was this. Hold on. I thought it was this. But it's not. That's the background, like, illustration. That's the layout, the magazine layout, because look, that other quilt is on that sort of beige rectangle as well, you see? So this cube quilt is a cube. It's shaped like that. Like, that's the shape of it. The shape of the cube is the shape of the quilt. Isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy? I mean, Are you feeling me on this? Okay. I'm gonna refresh the chat. I mean, yeah, I'm just. Whoa, hang on. What's going on here? Yeah, I just think it's amazing. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I am very impressed by this quilt. Okay. Oh, look at this here on the side. Roberta Horton, Amish quilts by Roberta Horton students will be in the exhibit lounge of the Student Union. It's just so much news. It's just so much news about things. Okay, anyway. So that's the cube quilt that I think is so thoroughly, totally modern and wild and cool. Hey, excuse me. Yeah. I'm annoyed at you. Okay, here we go. All right. No. Fine. Okay, great. Okay, now this is great too. Sidebar, full screen. Okay, so this is different too. Okay, now personally, I think Quiltful truly brought this kind of thing back. Brought stories of people back to magazines about quilts, right? But this is another moment in this magazine and in this like history lesson or whatever that's going to blow your mind. Okay, so Pat Ferrero, this name here, it says Ferrero Films 1979. Okay, that's significant because Pat Ferrero was a filmmaker. She made the film Quilts in Women's Lives, which I would love to watch. I'd love to do a viewing party about it with you all. I need to get permission for it. Definitely would want to get permission for it to do it here. It's a film about quilts in women's lives, and she profiles different people, including Radka Donnell, who we looked at months ago, read poetry, and we all cried. I did anyway. Imagine that. And then so here in Quilters Newsletter, there's this series of articles that they do about different people. Now, before I read you a little bit about this, I just want to show you what I talked about these traditional quilt makers doing like funky things, like changing it up. Look at these two women. Now, these women are older women. Their names are Hortense and Christine. Okay. They're doing like super traditional quilts. Like before I show you the one on the top, look at the one on the bottom. That is just full on like traditional string quilt-ish, log cabin sort of variation. But look at this. That is a quilt that is so like a la mode of the time. And these ladies, look at these ladies down at the bottom. Like those are the ladies people think, they think only these kinds of people make quilts, right? It's not true, but also they're badasses. I'm sorry. I mean, they're just awesome. They're just awesome. They just look like I just want to know them, But I want to know them even more because they're like, yeah, we played piano together because who does that? It's awesome. And we make these traditional quilts beautifully. Like, look at the quilting on this thing. This is crazy. Like up in here, you see these hearts. It's ridiculous. Looks amazing. Wow. Oh, by the way, so here's like a quote from Hortense. Quilting, of course, is always fascinating. I have in the past years usually quilted 2 hours a day, 1 hour at a time. But on the last quilt we were working on, I got so I could quilt 4 hours a day. Oh, somebody gifted a sub. Ivana gifted a sub to Mother Nature. Thank you, Ivana. Well, Mother Nature, I'm so glad that you're feeling it, man. You're feeling like the quilt nerd community is really great. Ivana, thank you so much. That was really generous. I appreciate you. So they're doing this stuff and they're so good. And Hortense is like, yeah, I can quilt with my sister. I don't know. We haven't read that part yet. But she's like, yeah, I've been quilting like crazy because it's this last quilt we worked on was just like amazing, right? I just couldn't stop. Look at that thing. That thing is so contemporary. It looks like it could be made by Nancy Halpern. They're like working with this ombre thing. They're working with this like this tonal like difference. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. Sorry. When I scan these things and I don't just I'm not just at the mercy of the internet. I can really get good scans. So I'm happy. I'm happy about being home with this beautiful scanner. But I mean, look, they are like, they're stereotypically, themselves, right? As quilters, are these older ladies. They got their horn rim glasses, And this is why you just cannot judge any person by the way they look, because these quilt makers, or by the quilts that you see them make, because you don't know them, and it's like they're making amazing things. This is an art quilt, basically. And it's very traditional in many ways, but it's what they did. It's the colors that they used. It's the way it looks. It's just different. And I love them. I love them. So let's just see, sisters. Yeah, they're sisters. Hortense, here at the left. I'm going to get out of the way. Hortense there at the left, and Christine at the right. They're at Sunnyvale, California. And, okay, they're in Quilts and Women's Lives in the film. Somebody may have said that because they've seen the film. I haven't seen it in a long time. Actually, I don't know if I've even seen it all. Yeah, okay, let's see. Oh, Beasley Richard. Okay, get better. Be well, and I'm so glad that you were here. I hope we entertained you for a while. Just get better, And yeah, thanks for coming by. And we all hope you feel better soon. That is for sure. Yeah. I'm so glad it's a show, man. I don't know. It's a life-giving show. So that's Hortense and Christine and their awesomeness. Okay, but there's more awesomeness to show. All right. Okay. Let's go up here. We're doing this. Playing piano with her little headband. I love it. Oh yeah, this for all the quilt nerds out there. Guess who that is? That's Jenny Beyer. It's Jenny Beyer. Look at her quilted vest. Oh, we're gonna see more quilted vests. Just you wait. Jenny Beyer, Spring Chicken. I mean, like I said, I was saying to Lily and Ackhill. A lot of the quilt people that you see today who are older, who are like, Jenny Beyer. Jenny Beyer is a legend. She's a legendary, brilliant genius quilter. Okay, she just is. She's like Jenny Beyer. She's like Cher, and or Beyonce, whatever. She's huge, and she was young when she started. So when she was like 30, and she was becoming a quilt superstar, she wasn't Jenny Beyer at 79. She was a young woman, and I just think people forget that because they see quilters who were quilting before they were, my mom and Jenny Beyer and Eleanor Burns, and they're older women. But when they started, they were your age, like we'll be the older women before too long, you know what I'm saying? And then look at the ads again. Great scrap bag quilts. 110 full-size quilt patterns suitable for using scraps. Weaver Finch Publications. These were women starting businesses, writing patterns and selling them through Quilters Newsletter. It is a cottage industry. People, look, the Quilt As You Go Guide, Nancy Donahue, a book devoted entirely to the Quilt As You Go technique. This woman wrote a book. She lives in California and she's selling it. And she's like, it's $6 plus 80% postage, 80 cents postage. This touches my heart. It really, really does. It's inspiring. It's awesome. It was an industry, and it was starting. The quilt industry today is a $4 billion industry, give or take a little. It didn't exist at that size in this way when this particular magazine was published, this 1982 issue. I mean, it was all happening. And I don't know about you, but I guess it's interesting to me in the way that like online dating, that industry, from what I understand, what I read, at some point, is like a $3 billion industry. And it would be interesting to see the first online dating website, to track the history of online dating. It's like when you see the burgeoning, the birth of an industry or something, it's really interesting because it's like, oh, if they only knew, or if they knew what we know now. It's history. It's looking back at history. It's fascinating. All right. Dana's 26. Retirement's a long way. Oh, wow. Ginny Buyer Studio is about 12 miles from your house. You never knew. I heard she has like a maze at her property, that's like after a quilt that she designed. I mean, I know she has something like that, you know. I've never been there yet. I just basically hit myself in the teeth. Okay. Yahoo Personals. Oh yeah, polyester. That's probably right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Raffle Waffle. Raffle Waffle. Where have you been? Where have you been all our lives? I mean, you've probably been here the whole time. Sorry. I'm happy to see you is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and you know what? It's exactly right. Raffle Waffle says, if anyone calls quilting or fabric crafts an old lady activity, 5 minutes on Instagram will prove them wrong. Perfectly put. Exactly. I mean, I always tell people, just Google QuiltCon winners. Just trust me. QuiltCon winners. Image search it. It'll change your life, you know? It's just, they just don't know, you know? And so here, here, strip piecing. They're talking about strip piecing, you know, in this article in Quilters Newsletter. And here again is this like artsy Jean V. Johnson, and she was all over. She was the one featured in the previous magazine. That's crazy. So anyway, here's the thing on strip piecing. I love the art direction. I love everything. Look, strip piecing. Isn't that creative how they did that? You don't get that anymore in the magazines these days. In those days, but the typography was just great, and it was creative, and I don't know. I just think old magazines are better. They're just better than new magazines. Oh, I photocopied this, right? I scanned this one for you just because I love this bed. And look how, look, they've got a quilt on the wall. I mean, that bed is kind of amazing. Like, it's kind of awesome. And that strip pieced diamond, that is a really simple quilt to make. It really is. That strip pieced diamond, you just cut your strips, sew them to a paper foundation or a fabric foundation. Honestly, if I was going to teach somebody, if I was going to do a beginner, if I had someone who had never sewn before, never made a quilt before, I would probably, maybe even before I would teach them like a 4-patch or a 9-patch block, honestly, I think I would teach foundation piecing. And it's crazy because when I was coming up and other people that I know, paper piecing was like, oh no, paper piecing, no, like it's so complicated, it's so hard. But it was, but people used to learn on foundations, you know. This is what I understand from reading things and talking to people, is that you used to, you know, way back in the day, you would learn to sew on a paper foundation. Someone's over there, but it's okay. I mean, because you get the precision. When you sew on a foundation paper, it's so precise. You just have to, what you have to do is get that first, oh no, we got a delivery, okay. You have to get those first 2 pieces right. You have to figure out how to put oh, Mother Nature, thank you so much for following. I'm so glad you're following. You have to get the first 2 pieces going, but once you have that going, your paper foundation pieces, especially if you're doing a strip block, you get going and you can just go to town. And then when you trim your block, it's like perfectly accurate, you know? And when you cut patches, you know, and your seam allowance is maybe not so great, or, you know, you have to press the seams a certain way and this way, and of course you have to do some of that with strip piecing. But anyway, if I had to, today, if you said, here's myself, here I am, teach me how to make a quilt, I would say, what should we do for the patchwork? And I think I might go with a strip pieced paper foundation block. I mean, it's just fun. It's improv-ish. There's just a lot to do with it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do a string quilt. I know, Raffle Waffle, that bed. It's so like, I don't know, it's groovy. It's like the 70s and the 80s are meeting, and they're having a moment with the bed. M. Hicks, your husband and you met through the personals in the early 90s. They were newspapers back then. You celebrated your 32nd anniversary just today. He called you 32 years ago today. Congratulations, everybody, and happy anniversary, M. Hicks. That's so cool. You know, It's great, man. Love is great. Marriage is great. I did it once before. Shouldn't have done it. Quickly did not work, and I said I'm never gonna do it again. And then I met the guy. Really the guy. And I'm just in. I can't wait to say we're having our 32nd anniversary. I'm just like, I'm not going anywhere. We're gonna go through some stuff, but we're gonna figure it out, you know? And I honestly can't wait until I'm like, honey, we met 32 years ago today, or, you know, we got married, it's been 20 years, darling. I just can't wait. He drives me insane, you know? And I do the same thing to him, but congratulations. Sorry, it's not about me. I'm just saying how awesome it is that you have a 32nd anniversary today. It's fabulous. Okay. All right, so here's just a little more. Let's look a little bit more of this. This is the strip piecing article, okay? And what is this? This is Nancy Crow. Nancy Crow, right there. Nancy Crow quilt, you know, 1981. That's early. You know, it's an early Nancy Crow quilt. I don't know when exactly she started to really be Nancy Crow, but Nancy Crow, if you don't know, is just extremely famous, very, very talented figure in the quilt world, in the art world. She was a weaver before, so a lot of times you see like weaving kind of moments in her quilts. Yeah. And let's see. Okay. oh, M. Hicks, he's number 2. He's your do-over, right? Yeah. Did a do-over too. Just had to get that practice round and then got it right. That's awesome. So Nancy Crow. And believe me, we'll talk about Nancy Crow at some point. I mean, we got to. Oh, we're not going to look too hard at this, but I just have to point out that in Quilters Newsletter, there were book reviews. When is the last time you saw a book review of a quilt book? I mean, like, how awesome is it? It just legitimizes what we do. You know, that there would be like someone who's like, well, I'm going to review this book by Mary Fons, you know. Like, what, you know, maybe your husband of 32 years is like, oh, honey, what are you working on, you know, for the magazine? It's like, well, I got my book reviews to do. I'm reviewing a book by Mary Fons, you know, and I'm reviewing a book by Susan Michael. You know, and I think Susan's book is very good. You know, it's very good. It's very well, you know, researched. And then Mary Fons, you know, I think it's just so cool that someone, isn't it sad that it would be like, wow, review a book? That's so awesome, because it means that there's so much substance there that one should look at it in a critical fashion, you know? And like, I mean, I don't know. Like, that just, I guess we're not worth book reviews anymore. And to be honest with you, the book that I make and love quilts, you know, it's great. Is it worthy of a review? Like, I mean, it's a book of patterns. So yes, you could say, is this a good book of patterns? Are the instructions good or whatnot? But I just love that they were really giving this attention to the stuff. I mean, yeah. Oh, wow. Well, in some cases, so this is the review for a collector's dictionary of quilt names and patterns. Interesting. This is before Brackman's book. Oh. So it says, in some cases, the reviewer, Louise Townsend, Louise is like, well, in some cases, there is a misinterpretation of a pattern from a photograph, such as the blurred 1935 photos in the Hall and Kretzinger book, so that the drawings shown would be impossible to follow to duplicate the pattern. As well, the lack of precision in drawing the blocks does not always give a true representation of the quilt pattern depicted, so that the reader loses any sense of what the real block would look like. Ooh, this is not a great review. Ooh, yeah, I don't know. It was not a smash hit. Okay, this I wanted to show you because check this out. Quilters Exchange. Quilters Newsletter Magazine is pleased to publish the following items free of charge for our readers' information, but cannot be responsible for any transaction between persons who correspond about them. Okay, so that's a disclaimer. Look at this. There's a section, Needle and Pin Pals. This is just like pre-internet. Like, people did not have Quilt Nerd live stream broadcasts to like connect and like talk to people. So Julie Ross, you know, her group, Just Friends, seeks Americans with ideas on small projects to make for sale. Julie is in England. She's in Southampton, England. And this is the Needles and Pen Pals section says these readers would like to correspond with quilt makers in other states and other countries. Ms. Paul E. Schoen wants to correspond with English quilt makers. Well, there you go. Oh, I don't know why this it's so sweet. It makes me want to cry. Like, it's so beautiful. It's like Peg Badgett of Shingle Springs seeks quilters making crazy quilts. And I just think, like, well, I'm a quilter and I like crazy quilts. So I would like to communicate with other quilters who also like crazy quilts. I would like to ask them questions and perhaps we could have a nice time. I'm going to write to Quilters Newsletter and put an ad in the Quilters Exchange, or put a line in the Quilters Exchange. I know, Julie, and it's so sweet. Yes. Quilt clubs. These clubs invite you to join. The Ohio Valley Quilters Guild meets on first Tuesdays. I mean, it's just awesome. It's awesome. And I don't mean to like make it like, oh, how quaint. They were writing in magazines. It's amazing. It's awesome. Wow, and look at this. Oh yeah. Collector's swap list. Here's what Quilters Newsletter says. We have many requests for space in this column. Awaiting publication. We will publish all of them as soon as possible. Look, Betty Flint from Aurora, West Virginia says, I will exchange 12-pieced blocks with name, city, state, and date. Lori Weavers asked to publish this. I will buy Quilters Newsletter Magazine's 99 to 100. I will buy or trade for the bicentennial star pattern. I mean, this is like a marketplace. This is the dark web. This is the dark web for quilters. I'm just kidding. It's definitely not the dark web. They publish their names and their numbers and everything, in this magazine because they wanted to find this thing. I mean, I'm not doxing anybody. Their name is in this magazine. Anyway, it's just crazy. Okay. Now, this is, I've made my point about there was, there were traditional quilts and more contemporary quilts. This is another example of this. This is Laverne, okay? So she's making the super traditional quilt. She's quilting it at a frame. And then they introduce us on the opposite page to Kate Pasquini. And she's making this stuff. And this, I think she went on to be really famous. Hang on, I just realized this. Hang on. Kate Pasquini quilt. I am pretty sure. Maybe not. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I really recognize this particular shape, don't I? I think so. Does anyone else, Kate Pasquini, does that recommend? Yeah, Susan Michael, Facebook groups. Like that's what that was, right? That's what that was? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, Myra? It's just like, okay, Dee Marie says Pasquini has a tutorial on her website that's dazzling. Really? Well, I'm pulling it up. Kate Pasquini. Kate Pasquini Masopost? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take a look. When we're done with the magazines, we're gonna look. Okay, so that's cool. So you've got Laverne, right, making her thing, and you've got Kate making her thing. And look, she's young. Look how young she is. She's this young woman. Oh, she's awesome. Okay, then the last issue I've got for you, and just a couple really neat things. Oh, wait. Page 38. I almost forgot to tell you, I don't have an image of it. But I wrote it down. Hang on, I gotta show you this. On the last page of the magazine I just showed you. Look at this. This article says it's not for shopkeepers only. That's the name of the recurring feature in this magazine. And the not for shopkeepers only feature is a look at the marketplace, its products, its trends, and its effect on the individual quilt maker. Fabulous, right? Look who wrote this one, called Morality in the Marketplace. Hold on. Do you see? Jeffrey Gutchin. We talked about him the last stream? Stream before? Stream before last. Haven't read it. Not going to read it. We got to keep moving. Got to keep it pushing. But I noticed that. I noticed that little byline. Bip says, Kate Pasquini does stunning work. Awesome. Yeah, she's way cool. Okay, last thing here. March 1982. We'll be looking at more of Quilters Newsletter. You can bet. That looks like Kate Pasquini too. Is it? Yeah. Kate Pasquini. Interesting. So people, maybe they're like, we only have room to run like so many quilts, Kate, but in this issue, but we'll put another one in the next one. Because you're fabulous. Oh, whoops, sorry. Okay, just more awesomeness. Yeah, and again, contemporary quilt or art quilt right next door to a traditional. These we put these labels, man, on ourselves. And I guess you have to define, what you like. It's like, I'm not really into more traditional quilts. I make more kind of like artsy quilts. Like, I understand, it's totally natural that you would say that, but I love this moment. That's what I'm trying to say, is this moment of Quilters Newsletter where these two quilts were living side by side. Just great. The kimono thing, Yvonne Porcella. This is a really famous quilt. Tatouage. And her kimono work is very famous too. What is this little... I don't know. I don't care. Okay. Yeah. We talked about Yvonne on a really early show. Anyway, look at that strip piecing. It was all a thing. Everybody was doing it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that was not my best scan work, but that's Nancy Halpern. Oh, and then, okay, so these strips... This like transparent kind of like blended fabrics, it's just like so of the time. And look what this is what Quilters Newsletter was so awesome. Why it was so awesome. Look, so this quilt here, Beulah Land, that's this big pink one. It's called Beulah Land by Jan Myers Newberry. And on the next page, About Beulah Land by Jan Myers. I won't read it all, but it says, Beulah Land is the only quilt to date that I've done for which the concept of the piecing and the quilting occurred simultaneously. That is, the quilting is an essential part of the design. My concept for Beulah Land was simple. I envisioned strips pieced and running diagonally through the piece, interrupted by solid fields, larger bands of color, that were quilted to continue the movement of the diagonal strips. At this point, I did not picture that the diagonals would zigzag across the work or that it would have borders. I wanted to let the piece build itself. So, it's so cool to give her that space, a lot of space. And like, I know magazines, you got limited space. Word counts are real. It's all in layout. You only have so much space. So to give the maker room to really write about it is awesome. I just love that. Listen, if I had a whole lot of money, I'd figure out how to buy Quilters Newsletter, right? This is my fantasy. Maybe, Mike McCormick and I can like buy a Quilters Newsletter and revive it. It would be amazing. It'd cost a lot of money, I'm sure. But it would be great. And I would make it just like this. Oh yeah, okay, check this out. We're getting to the end of this. And then I've got one fun thing for you. And then, we have to move on, right? We can't be here all night. Maybe. Debbie took a class from Kate Pasquini. That's cool. That's cool. Was it a good class? Yeah, and Lily, the kimono. Yeah, the kimono. We got to talk about kimonos. I always say that, but we will. That's really cool. You took a class from Kate Pasquini. I've never met her, I don't think. Anyway, Barbara Brackman, many of you know that name. Probably most of you. If you're a quilt person, you know that name. Look, Prairie School Quilt. So Barbara Brackman wrote this article, which means it's awesome. So, Prairie School design, Frank Lloyd Wright, of course. And Frank Lloyd Wright, Barbara says, contribution to architecture is well known. But it is surprising, Barbara writes. Barbara's like the grande dame of quilt block history and just like all quilt history. And she's just like, it's like, Barbara, Just Barbara, all day Barbara. She says, it's surprising to find that Frank Lloyd Wright's work also influenced quilt pattern design. Oh yes. Wright and his associates developed a distinctive style of architecture and design at the turn of the century. The style became known as Prairie School architecture. Okay. Chicago, tons of Prairie School architecture in Chicago. And I don't know why I'm doing this ASMR thing. My ASMR quilt stuff. I haven't done it yet, but I will. Marianne hates that. I could do it. Like, we've talked about it before. I won't do it. Okay, anyway. Prairie School houses featured low horizontal lines, large expanses of windows, geometric motifs. So she's talking about this. I mean, I just love that we get lessons on Prairie School architecture in a quilt magazine. It's the way it should be. So anyway, so she's talking about this, and Barbara Brackman knows everything about quilt design history. And so she designed a quilt using it. And this is it. Isn't that great? I don't know that the quilt is actually... Is there a picture of the quilt made? No, it's just the pattern. So maybe someone was like, well, we should really make a sample of this quilt, but we ran out of time, so there's no actual quilt to show, a finished quilt to show. It's definitely not because it doesn't work. The pattern works, I have no doubt. And it's really beautiful, and I think it's so neat. It's so neat. The Kate Pesquin, okay, yep, Yep. You thought FLW, Art Deco. Yes. Okay, so Vullenvine says, yes, looked at the illustration and immediately thought FLW. Frank Lloyd Wright. Yeah, exactly. And you say you're all about the Art Deco, Art Nouveau era, and you'd love to dive down the rabbit hole when it comes to quilting. 1,000%. I mean, this article is a great place to start. I mean, she's talking about arts and crafts, well, not arts and crafts, but Prairie School. Art Deco style, so popular in the 20s and 30s, grew from Prairie School beginnings. Prairie School thought was soon reflected in many areas of art and design, including quilt patterns. I have to read a little bit more. Prior to the design revolution, floral subject matter in quilt patterns was generally confined to applique patterns where natural curves could be captured. Pieced geometric patterns had been abstract. But the Prairie School approach to stylizing nature was well suited to pieced quilt patterns. I mean, I'm dead. It's fabulous. It makes so much sense, right? Because we have these wonderful quilt blocks that are floral, but they're pieced, they're geometric. I never really thought about that. I mean, look at this here. This is so great. It's so good, this here, right? And then this tulip is 1,000%. I mean, it might as well be like an Art Nouveau stained glass window, That's just what it is. It's just what it is. It's so great. Look, I can point. Oh, no, I can't. Yeah, that. Yeah, the center thing. It's really fun. The tulip does look beautiful, doesn't it? The the leafy basket. I really like that. That's really neat. That's really, really neat. I didn't know this. I mean, I'm really glad, Wool and Vine, that you actually kept us on this for a second, because I didn't really think about how florals, we have flower blocks that are pieced and they're geometric. And when did that happen? Because it was applique for so long. It really was. It's awesome. Barbara Brackman is so great. She's so great. Okay, not a great scan, but once again, just showing. Then there's Wild Irish Rose, about as simple as it gets. It's a 9-patch. That's it, Judy Martin. Some of you will know Judy Martin. Simple, using strip piecing down there. It's a great way to get all those pieces. You don't have to cut all those squares. You can make a strip set and cut them out from that, It's way cool. Rose basket, very, traditional. Yeah, old-time quilting. And look, that's applique. Your roses are not pieced. They are appliqued, until they weren't. So interesting. Okay. Autumn Piper loves the leafy basket. Yeah, same. Okay, oh yeah, those are great. I mean, I have all of the issues from 1982, and I just need to tell you, we won't do them all at once, you know, like the next issue, I'm a set of quilt nerd. We'll be doing something else, but don't you worry. we'll do them all, you know, because I mean, they're just awesome. And what I should do as well is get Quilters newsletters from like 92, you know, and then 2002 and see what's going on. Because this is a long time ago now. I mean, 1982 is 40 years ago. 1992 is 30 years ago. And that's a while, you know. That's a little bit. So here we go. Wearable quilts. Now there's a practical and fashionable idea. This is right before the Ralph Lauren thing happened, where he was actually cutting up quilts to make clothes like people are doing today, which you have to stop doing. In case you're watching this, you have to stop. This is before that. Right before. Because this is the March issue, and Ralph Lauren started doing that in April. His April 1982 collection was doing that. So look at this. Look at this. I mean, it's so dated. But I have to say, I'm kind of feeling this over here. I'm kind of like, I don't want it to be thick. I don't want it to be like a very thick garment. But I don't know. This one, this one in the center, it's a lot. It's giving like, I don't know. I don't, it's a lot. Look, there's that Dresden plate, you know. Peggy was talking about the Dresden plate being like a yoke on the quilting time. Hey, quilting time. How are you doing? I'm glad to see you. And you say it reminds you of a maternity dress. Wait, this one? Yeah, this one. Yeah. Okay, I feel that. I do. And this one. Here's the problem with some of this quilt clothes stuff. It's so thick. Like, I don't want to wear. It's just so thick. I mean, this looks so heavy. You know, like it's some battle garment. It's pretty beautiful. I mean, it's amazing. The construction of it is made. Now wait a minute. Oh, this is really kind of creepy. This is sort of a cinematic thing. When I zoom in, it's like, listen to me. Let me get your thoughts. What do you think? Susan Armichael says, I have a great authentic wool Mexican poncho that made me seriously consider making a quilt poncho. Listen, do it. There are no rules. There's no rules. College. You can only think of college with the wild Irish rose. The parts in the whole. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm hearing you on that. Elaine. Right? I'm not a fan of quilt clothing. Yeah, I mean, a vest. Yes, it is Elaine. See, I didn't even get to the end of your message and I remembered. Maybe a vest if you wore vests. Mom did a vest book with Liz, and the vests were kind of cool. Like, I actually feel like if I made patchwork, you know, and made it into a vest, there's something that was kind of vintage cool about it. But I didn't take it when I left the last time I was at home. So it wasn't like a slam dunk. It's interesting. Like, I'm on the fence too. But this, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about this? They have a heavy look. That's it. Exactly, Elaine. Exactly. Yeah, I know. The little jacket. So Autumn Piper loves the little jacket. Yeah, it's pretty cute. Yeah, it's pretty cute. I mean, I like the shape of it. I would do a different thing, but I like the shape. You could wear the middle one to Pride, 1,000%. That's what I'm thinking of, right? It's rainbow. It's actually for a Pride like party or parade or festival or just like celebrating, you know, Pride. It's perfect. Oh, and you know what? I kind of like this. Kind of like that. Although like the collar's not right. Anyway, okay, but there's a little bit more quilt clothes here. Yeah. It is just so heavy. That's the problem. I mean, it's all really cool, but it's like if you're going on a mountain journey, you know, if you're like, I'm not kidding, like if you're hiking and it's wonderful, but could you, where do you wear that? I think the other thing too about this kind of clothing is like, where do you wear it? Is it an evening kind of thing? I mean, this is a hell of a garment, you know, like, but it's also cotton. I don't know. Where do you wear it? This is a cool vest. Anyway. Yvonne Porcella. Interesting. Okay. This is the last page of this. Here's your vest. Star Trek. Woolenvine has to go. So much fun. I'm so glad that you're here, that you came by. Like, I know, and I've been on for like almost 3 hours, but it's Friday night. Yeah, Ivana, I think it's true. I think probably some people saw, vests like this or something, at some point in their mother's closets, and they were like, oh, that's great. I think this is pretty. Hey, Woolenvine, thank you for following. Hopefully you'll get notifications every time I go live, and you can hop on. It was great to have you tonight. I hope you come back and just hang out anytime. I find this pretty hideous. I think it's just not good. Well, I mean, you look like some sort of Celtic monk or something. I don't know. Not that there's anything wrong with Celtic monks, but exactly, Akhil. It's just like not practical. Kevin, president of the Philly Modern Quilt Guild, says they did a quilted garment on the most recent season of Project Runway. Really? And the judges were not a fan. Is that a pastor's robe? Exactly. Yeah, that's it. It looks papal or yeah, exactly. Adita Sitar, Sherry says, Adita Sitar recently made herself a quilted jacket. Well, Kevin, your quilted jacket is amazing. I mean, there's 1,000% ways to do this that are great. And obviously I'm a fan of making your own patchwork and your own, quilted pieces to then turn into clothes. Like, obviously you all know that I feel that way. But I think it's when you get these large, really large, coats and things. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. Okay. This is really interesting. Ruth McDowell. Do you all know that name? I feel like I do. But I didn't look her up yet because I was so busy scanning. I was like, Ruth McDowell. I feel like I've heard that. And check this out. Look at her work. Is she famous? Is she like a famous person? Look, young, a young mom. She's young. She's in Quilters Newsletter in 1982, and she's like, I'm dealing with jam on my kid's face and making amazing quilts that are completely new, in style. She's a member of Quilt Church. Oh, 1,000%. Marlene. Sorry. Just in terms of the Quilt Clothes article, Ivana says there was a very Catholic priest feel to the coat, and then Kevin says she's playing D&D, quilt cleric. Marlene's considering a Lone Star on the back of a jean jacket. That would be amazing. That would really be great. I have something I could show you. Let me just write this down. Hang on. Sarah Lilligard is somebody we featured in Quilt Folk, who does some really nice work with denim jackets and scraps. It's great. These are wonderful, aren't they? Nancy McDowell. Look at this. Nancy McDowell. I just think this is really good. I mean, yes. These are pretty cool, aren't they? I'm gonna go back because I didn't zoom in very much on this. I want to zoom in here on these. Come on, just a little bit. I mean, this over here was awesome, I think. And it's so simple. It's just that. It's a great background, isn't it? Great background screen. It's just very slightly different shades of that sage, and it's just so effective. So effective. There was such a specific aesthetic, right? Like this. It's very Nancy Crow. It's very Yvonne Porcella. I really need more names and more, sort of diverse, group of people that I can call upon, because my knowledge is limited when I think about these quilts because I just am still learning. But this pieced, like, checkerboard or strip set border, it happens a lot. And then this black, solid black. There was so much solid black, and I feel like that was not happening before. Solid black fabric was just not happening in a lot of quilts before. It just wasn't. But then you have this very, simple checkerboard kind of stuff that comes in with this wild applique, piecing, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so here's these, and let's look at these other ones, because they're just, they're so great. Oh, they're so great. And I was happy to see so many of her quilts featured. These I don't know what kind of flowers those are. Morning glories. No, they're not. But that's great. It's kind of like, not fractally, but it looks sort of like an early computer sort of drawing, you know what I'm saying? Little Bird Stitch, Ruth McDowell, master piecer. We got to look at this lady. I mean, we're looking at her now, but Ruth McDowell, I must know more. I just love that some of us, the introduction to Ruth McDowell will be her as this young mom, like when we look at Ruth McDowell's work today, she'll be older, right? But my introduction to Ruth McDowell, if I ever meet her, I'll be like, we saw your work at Quilt Nerd, and it was so fun to see your thing. Okay, so here's the last bit of her stuff. This is so great. This one might be my favorite. All very nature based, right? All these quilts were between 1980 and 1981. They're 40 inches square, machine pieced, hand appliqued, and hand quilted. The first 5 photographs are by Nancy Halpern. That's crazy. These are great. And look that strip piecing. I'm telling you, it was everywhere. Wow. Oh, now we're getting help, ah! It's wonderful. I just love it. It's not applique, it's all pieced. What? I love these people. They're so great. I just love it. I love it. Wow, that's crazy that's pieced. I mean, she's great. Don't you want? I mean, I would totally hang that on my wall. I mean, obviously, but I would just love to have one of these things on my wall. Wouldn't it be great? It's just everything old is new again, and 1980s art quilts. I'm telling you, it's just got to be that way. It's got to be the hottest new thing. And I included this picture down here just to say, so this is letters from people. I think we're coming to the end here. Dear Bonnie, I thought Bonnie Lehman, the founder of and editor of Quilters Newsletter Magazine. So this is a letter. Dear Bonnie, I thought you might like to see the quilt I made for my grandmother, Catherine McHugh. Since she's from Tipperary, the double Irish chain pattern is very appropriate, as are the colors, green, white, and gold, the Irish flag. I was even lucky enough to find green material with white shamrocks on it. It's not entirely visible in the photo, but each white square has the name and birth date of one grandchild, all in the picture with Grandma, except for one. I'm in blue on the left. As you can see, everyone is happy to be with Grandma and her new heirloom. Kathy McGuire, Orange, California. How cool is that? Talk about people valuing their quilts. I mean, she made her grandma one. It's awesome. I love that. They just seem so sweet. Look at Grandma. Oh. And her grandson with his mustache. I did this for just the ads. Look at the ads, how that's hand drawn. Somebody did calligraphy or something. Mama's available, so it's a pattern, I guess. Mama is available in 66 different activities, each drawn in an 11-inch square. 8-page book of butterfly designs, all line drawn. Poems about you, quilters and needleworkers, all written from the heart by the artist, lettered on parchment and matted. $1. Little Bird Stitch knows that Ruth McDowell was big in the 90s and early 2000s, and she's retired, but she taught around the country for many years. I gotta talk to her. Elaine's like, who wants a pattern of Mama mopping? Yeah, exactly. So sweet. Okay. And this is the last thing, okay? This is the last thing, but I have a better way to show you. Oh, I'm really excited about this. If you're in the chat, I need you to tell me if was it Little Bird Stitch? Did you tell me about the jam boards with Google? I think you might have. And if you did, wait, yeah, nope, don't want to do that. If you did, I want to thank you. So check this out. This is great. One of you taught me about Google Jamboards, where you can pull up an image and you can draw on it. So a lot of times I'm like zooming in and like using my little feature, using the feature in preview to like highlight things. But now with this, hold on. I can draw on something, but you know what? Like, see, look, like, let's look at this thing. And I can circle it in front of you. Oh, and actually, wait a minute. This is probably really about me just showing how excited I am that I can actually do this and less about like what we're looking at. But that's fun, isn't it? Isn't that fun? Oh, and then I can zoom in. Wait. Oh, I wanted this to be so thrilling. And it is thrilling. It is thrilling, but I want to be able to zoom in and I'm not sure how to do it. Well, baby steps, right? Baby steps. Oh, yeah. Oh. I didn't even know what I was circling, but now, look at that. Maybe. This, polyester's like thrilled. I mean, if you're joking, it's funny. And if you're not joking, good. I'm glad. So save gas and $1. Send for our latest catalog of quilting supplies and color coordinated fabrics. Wow. Look at this. Someone here. I'm going to circle it. Wait. Watch this. Maybe blue means something else. Look at this. Solution to the missing pins and needles. I should get like a stylus. I should get like an Apple Pencil and like have a board. Oh, that would be great. Listen, you just wait. A year from now, this show is like, it's going to represent, it's going to like, it's not going to, God, what is, oh my God, wait, I'm getting tired. It will not reflect. Oh God, it won't look anything like it did right now. But it's pretty fun, And so here's the thing. Sometimes when we look at a quilt together, it's like, how did she make that? Like, oh, I want to look at it closer. And we're like analyzing it. And it's like, did she do this? Did she do that? And this would be a great way to do it. Sometimes I don't know that we're going to do that to a quilt though. So what I need to do is figure out a really easy way to get like an image that we're looking at really quickly onto Jamboards or some kind of application where I can be like, wait, let me open it with this. And then we can, look at something like that and I can highlight things and do things like that. What is this? Is this like a shape? I can make like a shape. Oh yeah. Look at that. You like that? Resemble. Sibby. Oh no, I don't want to do that. It won't resemble anything. I gotta sign off. So anyway, this is fun. Eric, you know what? Yes, Eric can help me make a list of keyboard shortcuts, and then I can use this thing. This is what it's all about. Okay, you know what? That's the show. That's what I have for you. 3 issues of Quilters. No. There's one more thing. Sorry, there's one more thing. Because I just have a lot. Okay, look, check this out. This is Rachel Ignovsky. I found this wonderful thing online. It's Harriet Powers. It's an illustration of Harriet. Oh, wait. Am I small? I think so. It's an illustration of Harriet Powers. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying her name right. Yeah. Rachel Ignovsky, okay? I will put her name there. Hold on. It wasn't you. Okay, it wasn't you. Little Bird Stitch, okay. Somebody. So this is Rachel Ignovsky, okay? And this is an illustration of Harriet Powers. It says created narrative applique quilts about Bible stories and legends that were important to freed slaves. So this is this illustration of our Harriet and her quilt, And I was like, what is this? This is great. So she has a quote here from Harriet down at the bottom. It's just this really groovy illustration, okay? And I was like, what is this? Who is this?